The second part starts at Parker's place, where Peter works as a pizza delivery boy. But because he is Spider-Man and always concerned with catching criminals and helping the police, he's always late. This persistent lateness makes the manager fire him. After that, he leaves the store and goes to meet Jameson, the newspaper's editor, who also fires him. Because he's not delivering pictures of Spider-Man but rather taking pictures of scenery and things that nobody cares about, Peter is obligated to provide a new Spider-Man picture, to take any money and try to pay his debts, which have become very many. After that, Peter leaves and tries to catch one of his lectures, but he is also late and he meets the doctor, who tells him that his academic level is decreasing and his grades are also decreasing. He no longer attends any lectures on time, and they warn that he must finish his research on Dr. Octavius, which will fail. From all this, we know that Peter's life is very ruined from all sides. This is because he is very interested in helping people and fighting criminals. Because of that, he can't concentrate on anything else. After that, Peter leaves college and goes to meet his uncle's wife. He is surprised when he finds there Harry and Mary, his friends, and they are doing a surprise for his birthday. Harry tells him that he has become working in the Oscorp company in place of his father, may his soul rest in peace, and that they are doing a project for Dr. Octavius. So, Peter asks him to help him meet Dr. Octavius himself because he is currently doing research on him. So Harry agrees. After the birthday is over, Peter leaves the house and finds that. So Mary's waiting for him, and she's talking to him, and she informs him that she's begun realizing her dream and is currently acting in a theater. She requests that he come direct her play, and she also lets him know that she's engaged to a man named John. This really upsets Peter, but he hides his anger and reassures her that he'll certainly come to see her perform tomorrow. Peter then leaves her and returns to his solo dwelling, where he's confronted by his landlord. The landlord demands the overdue rent, and Peter hands over his remaining $20. The following day, Peter goes with Harry to meet Dr. Octavius, and they spend a lot of time discussing Dr. Octavius's new invention. In short, it's about providing a new energy source similar to the sun and an alternative to it as well. Afterwards, Harry takes off, leaving Peter with Dr. Octavius. Then in comes Rosie, Dr. Octavius's wife, who begins talking about her days with Dr. Octavius in college and about how much they love each other. She asks Peter if he's engaged, and a bewildered Peter replies that he doesn't know. Dr. Octavius tries to help him and tells him that if he wants to get closer to women, he should learn poetry, as all women love it. After a while, Peter bought a poetry book in order to recite poems to Mary and bring her flowers afterwards. He planned to pay a visit to her play, but on his way he encountered a police chase. The criminal's vehicle was about to hit Peter's motorcycle, but he quickly jumped off. He changed into his Spider-Man suit and proceeded to assist the police. After a hefty chase, he was able to web up the criminals. He commandeered their car in order to make it on time to the play, but he arrived late and security wouldn't allow him in. Mary was on stage. She looked at Peter's chair only to find it empty. She was quite upset because she hoped he would be there. Peter was waiting outside for her so he could apologize, but then he saw Mary leaving with her new companion. Her new partner was John. He reconsidered and proceeded to walk home. On his way home, he saw another police chase and decided to intervene. While on his way to apprehend them, his web refused to eject from his hand and he fell. He couldn't continue the pursuit. The following day, Peter tried to speak to Mary in order to apologize, but she wasn't particularly interested in his apology to begin with. After that, Peter went to the Oscorp company to attend an event. Dr. Octavius's new invention, and he actually began to experiment with it and wore 4 semi-shields like his octopus. They were connected to his back and he controlled them through his mind and had a chip in his brain that prevented the shields from controlling him, and he used them to be able to control the energy source that he invented to control it. The test started and everything was functioning well until the control of the ball was lost. It began to attract anything prepared for it, and Peter sensed the danger and went to put on the suit he bought, and he returned. And he really saved Harry. And then Spider-Man tried to off the electricity, but Octavius prevented him and hit him, and then all the windows were broken, and the glass hit Rosie, Dr. Octavius's wife, and unfortunately she died, and Octavius was shocked and looked behind him to see Rosie. But the magnetic field destroyed the chip in his brain that prevents the shields from controlling him, and he lost consciousness. And Spider-Man disconnects the electricity so it doesn't destroy anything else. Then after that, Dr. Octavius was transferred to hospital, and the doctors tried to help him. And they took the arms off him, but he woke up and started killing everyone in the hospital and escaped afterwards and went back to his lab for a second time. But after it was destroyed, and here we know that these spoilers control him 100% and control all his movements, and she also started to tell him that the experiment was very successful until Spider-Man came and ruined everything. And from here, Octavius decided that he will complete what he started and take revenge on Spider-Man at the same time. After that, we move to the bank and Peter is there and his aunt's wife to take out a loan. Octavius comes at the same time to rob the bank and fund his experiment, so he goes to the vault and breaks its door and starts stealing the money. Peter changes his clothes and becomes Spider-Man and comes to stop Octavius and beats him and takes him out of the bank altogether. By then, the police would have arrived and they were going to shoot him, but Octavius will catch himself and take Peter's wife hostage so they can't shoot him, and he grabs her and takes her on top of the building. But Spider-Man comes to save her and catches Dr. Octavius Wood. He hit him right on the left and also hit him left on the right until there's no middle left. His uncle, Spider-Man, falls from the top of the building, but Spider-Man catches up with her at the last moment. The police shoot at Octavius, but he finally knows how to escape from them. Peter goes to photograph a party for Jameson, who is the head of the newspaper, but he is surprised to find that John, Mary's friend, is Jameson's son. He tries to talk to Mary, but she repels him and tells him that everyone she went to the play, which he is, she tells him that she doesn't want to know him again, and she leaves and walks away. John speaks out and starts to announce to everyone on the stage that he's going to marry. Mary Peter leaves the party and he is very annoyed. He tries to fly, but his hand does not release any strings and he falls. He tries to climb the wall, but the strange thing is that his powers start to fade away, more and more. He doesn't even know how to climb the wall, and then he goes to the doctor because he feels very tired. But the doctor tells him, "You're fine, but the problem you have is your mind is a little confused between more than one thing. You need to specify exactly what you want to do." After that, Peter goes to sleep and dreams of his uncle. He tells his uncle that he can no longer be Spider-Man and help people all the time. He wants the normal Peter Parker back, and when he wakes up, he decides to live his life normally without being Spider-Man again. He takes his suit and throws it in the trash bin. He also resumes wearing his glasses again because they're a significant part of him. He proceeds with his college lectures and starts studying again. He aims to excel once more. He attends Mary's play and she becomes very excited upon seeing him. Her excitement causes her to forget her lines on stage. After the play, he meets with her and informs her that he wants to start over with her. However, she tells him she's getting married. Then, we move to the newspaper where someone finds Spider-Man's costume in the trash and takes it to the newspaper. The newspaper owner, Jameson, takes it from him and gives him money. The newspaper writes that Spider-Man's era has ended. Simultaneously, Peter accompanies his aunt to visit his uncle's grave. When they came home, he told her that he was the reason for his uncle's death and that he saw the thief who killed him before he killed his uncle. But unfortunately, they didn't stop him, but he didn't mean it. So she tried to console him and say why he is very brave because he told her the truth. After that, we moved to Octavius, who started to execute his experience, but he is missing one element called tritium. So he went to Harry to take tritium from it because the element is available at Oscorp Company, of which he is currently the president. But Harry refuses to give him his hands. Why? And Octavius catches him and he was going to kill him. But Harry, if you want tritium, give Spider-Man to kill him because he killed my father. And at that time I gave you tritium and told him ask Peter Parker because he is his photographer, and sure I know where he is, but don't hurt him because he's my friend. Then we go back to Peter, who is walking in the street and find a house burning, and there is a woman inside screaming and saying that her son is inside and is going to die. So Peter decides to enter this time and save him by himself, and he is Peter normal, not Spider-Man, because he really enters the suit and can save him. When he leaves, he hears people saying there was a woman inside, but she died. So he gets really upset and confused, and at the same time, he doesn't know how to decide how to live his life. He doesn't know how to become Spider-Man again, and he doesn't know how to live his normal life either. After that, he climbs up a building and tries to jump off it, but his strength has not returned. Eventually, he falls and can't fly. He goes to meet Mary in a restaurant, but then Octavius shows up. He grabs Peter and tells him, "Have Spider-Man meet me at the clock tower." He takes Mary hostage and walks away. Peter comes out after him and realizes that he can't see well without his glasses. He knows then that his strength has come back. He throws away his glasses, goes to the newspaper office and retrieves his suit from there. He leaves a note for Jameson. In the note, he says that he kept the suit for him and then heads out to find Octavius. They start to hit each other. Peter catches Octavius and throws him at the clock in the tower, and a part falls from it, but they catch Spider-Man and throw him at Octavius. Then both of them fall onto a train and Octavius begins. He grabs people from the train while they're sitting and throws them at Spider-Man, and of course Spider-Man saves them. After that, Octavius goes to the driver's car, kills him, increases the train's speed to its maximum. He breaks the control system to prevent anyone from being able to slow it down, then he escapes. Spider-Man takes his mask off and heads to the front of the train, stopping in front of it, trying to stop the train with all the means possible. Eventually, after lots of hard work, he's able to stop it. The train's passengers track him down, bring him onto the train and return his mask. They tell him to think that none of them saw his real face. Then Octavius comes to take Spider-Man, but the people stand in his way and tell him that if he wants Spider-Man, he will have to go through them first. Then Octavius starts attacking them. He starts moving them out of his way and takes Spider-Man, who is bound, and brings him to Harry. He opens the safe and the tritium is released. Octavius then takes the tritium. After Octavius leaves, Harry takes a knife with the intention of killing Spider-Man. But before he kills him, he removes Spider-Man's mask and reels in shock upon discovering his friend Peter Parker. And of course, then he couldn't kill him. He asked him why he had killed his father, and so Peter told him it was against his will. He narrated the entire story to him from start to finish and asked him to tell him. He asked him about Octavius's location because he now has Mary with him and she might die. Eventually, he informed him about his location and let him go. Spider-Man went to Octavius, who had already begun his experiment. In fact, Octavius started beating him, grabbed him and threw him out of the building. Yet Spider-Man came back and both Octavius and Spider-Man fell. Both of them fell into the river, and the experiment was still operational, and it started attracting anything metallic to it, and Mary too, who was chained with an iron chain. But Spider-Man exited. Spider-Man emerged from the river and saved her just in time, and Octavius once again appeared from the fire and held Spider-Man. Yet Spider-Man pulled off a wire and electrocuted him. Eventually, the electricity was completely disconnected from the experiment. However, the experiment didn't stop and continued to attract any metallic thing, including cars that were on the street. The entire place started to collapse. Peter, at that time, decided to take off the mask and have a serious conversation with Octavius. Mary was shocked when she found out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. But now wasn't the time for that. Peter told Octavius that they needed to stop the experiment. Peter began to feel sympathy for him, reflecting on his old saying that intelligence should be used to benefit people, not destroy them. He told him, "You must resist this force and not let them control you." Octavius was indeed convinced. Peter told him the only solution was to drown her in fire. The place was still falling apart. A large wall was about to crush Mary, but Peter caught up with her, rescued her, and Octavius took the orb, and indeed drowned it in the river. He also drowned with it and died. But sir, he took Peter and Mary and fled before the place was completely destroyed on them. He later told Mary that Spider-Man has many enemies. That's why he always distanced himself from her, in order to prevent her from getting hurt because of him. He then took Peter and Mary, delivered her to the police, left him, and walked away. We then move on to Harry's house, where he began to imagine his father, Mr. Norman, in the mirror and blamed his mother, asking her, "Why didn't you kill Spider-Man and claim what's mine?" He was very angry. So, Harry picks up a knife and throws it at the mirror, causing it to shatter to reveal that there is a secret hood behind the mirror. So when he enters it, he finds the Green Goblin's mask in there. Someone is wearing it and not taking it off. And Harry then realizes that it was his father who was the Green Goblin all along, which is why Spider-Man killed him. After that, we shift to the wedding of Mary and John, but Mary doesn't show up at the wedding. Instead, she goes to Peter and tells him she loves him and wants to continue with him, plus even after finding out that he is Spider-Man. She's fully prepared to take any risks. Following that, they hear the sound of a police siren, and Mary tells him to go help them. As it turns out, Peter puts on his suit and takes off, chasing the criminals from the second part. And that concludes the second part. I'll see you in the next one. But that's all for now. Goodbye.